what I'm going to do today is I want to go over a technique I used to get better at copying and something that I still do every now and then. And this is one of the most brutal studies I've found, but also one of the most effective at trying to get your initial lay-in of a study down very, very quickly. And so this is a digital only thing. And you can think of this almost as a measurement game at the start of your study. So I'm just going to be working from this printed 3D scan. Rendered 3D scan that I rendered in Blender from a free museum sample. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of my reference, and I'm going to be working strictly from this image top right. The reason why I'm doing that as well is so that I can't just look across and make and line it up. Instead, I have to try and actually guess the proper proportions. And so the idea of what I'm going to be doing is that I want to have a quick way to check my working. And so I will put my reference on a new layer, separate to my original reference, and I'll mark out the corners. And the frame of the image. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it so that if I want to check my working, I can just turn this reference on and see how accurate I was. And I can turn it off to try and draw and to try and copy again. Because this isn't about tracing, this is about as quickly as possible seeing that I got a proportion mistake and correcting it by looking and observing and trying to do a better job of observing in the first place. Anyways, I'll get into it. I'm probably going to do a bad job here, but that's kind of the point, is that it proves that I'm doing a bad job and gives me a ground truth to see how can I do this better. Okay, so first things first is I've got my reference here. I'm going to try and find the top and the bottom of the model. This is actually a lot harder than you think because the distance is going to be defined as a ratio from top to bottom because the reference is actually smaller on screen than the thing. So I'm trying to triangulate between this point, and this point, and trying to work out what is that triangle and try and hit that. And then I want to draw an envelope for the entire thing. I don't think that's in far enough. Go again. Okay, so now I can check out, are these proportions roughly where I want them to be? If I turn it on, you see I got this bottom proportion completely correct. Let me just make this darker. Got the bottom proportion completely correct, top proportion completely correct, but the side proportion, that's off. So I'm going to leave my mark there and make the new mark. But I'm happy enough with that, so I can continue on. So now I want to try and find this head. So this head looks like the forehead is about middle of the canvas, so I'll try and get that right. And I want to mark about where the belly button is, which I think is about here. And then try and roughly draw this envelope in. Okay, let's see how far I am. Okay, so this line here is off, so I need to fix that up. But I'm pretty happy with these lines here, so that's a pretty decent envelope. But I should have really come down here, so that's a steeper angle. And so I can observe what my mistakes were, and I can, when I go back and erase, I can try and observe them again and try and understand why I made that mistake in the first place. Hopefully being able to remove these mistakes before, in the actual way I think about it. Okay, I'm going to remove that. And so one thing I make sure is that even though I could just remember the change that I needed to make, I want to make sure I look at the reference and I make sure I see why the change is accurate and actually see the angle. And because that's the most important thing, is you've got to close that feedback loop and understand why it was wrong, not just that it was wrong. So this needs to come down more, and that makes a lot of sense. Okay then, now I'm going to roughly block this in. I can check it again. This line's completely out. That's wrong. I'm happy with this. Happy with this. But hopefully you can see that this is a very effective tool to teach yourself how to do these envelopes. Because they are a very important thing of copying. And I think that even though if you get really good at this, this is a very quick way to see even tiny errors that you have, and you can adapt this game to any level, any part of your journey. That's looking better. I can try and fix this up. Anyhow, I won't go the whole way of the study, but hopefully this gives you an idea of a cool way you can approach studying accuracy a bit differently. I'm going to be making a lot more videos soon, and I hope you stick around. Thanks. Bye.